Individual emperors from different dynasties ruled ancient China. A dynasty was a series of royal families. Shi Huangdi became the first emperor of China in 221 BC. He unified China, established Qin dynasty, and began building the Great Wall of China. The Han dynasty came about in 206 BC and continued till 220 AD. The Han dynasty brought about a period of peace. Ink and paper were invented as well as schools being built. The Tang dynasty began in 618 AD and ended in 906 AD. This period brought about advances in art like poetry, sculpture, and painting, along with advances in public systems, and gunpowder were also invented. Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism were the greatest influence on the people of China during ancient times. Confucianism taught people to be loyal, unselfish, and courteous. Taoism taught people to live simple lives, go with the flow, and achieve contentment. Buddhism revolved around the Eightfold Path, purity of mind and action, karma, and nirvana. Ancient China was isolated from most of the world because of the Great Wall that was built during the Qin dynasty. But then the Silk Road was created to enhance the use of trade between China and other countries. Since China was isolated from most of the world, they didn't trade with any major countries, which caused them not to have foreign resources, but China was still well off. Motives that had an impact on China was Britain's desire to get more money and to expand and control foreign trade for their benefit. Britain wanted to establish new markets and products and acquire China's resourceful materials. Britain especially wanted their delicate silk, porcelain, and tea in exchange for gold and silver. Because of the Industrial Revolution, Britain had a need for expanded markets for Europe's goods. The countries involved with China were France, Germany, Britain, Japan, and Russia. British-made China signed the Treaty of Nanjing, which forced China to open 5 ports to foreign trade. Some religious motives included Britain and Europe's desire to spread Christianity and extend European values and moral beliefs. Britain and Germany set up spheres of influence which allowed each country to gain regions to develop its own business. Imperialism took part in China through the form of spheres of influence, which was established in the 1940s. Outside powers such as Germany, France, Britain, Japan, and Russia planned exclusive investments or trading privileges. In 1842, the Treaty of Nanjing was created so that the Chinese were to reimburse Britain for costs incurred fighting the Chinese, open many ports to British trade, provide British citizens giant extra territory in China. In 1850, Qing dynasty was losing control of the country. Population was increasing while food production grew little. In 1853, rebel army and imperial army fought war. British helped imperial to win to push out rebels. During the 1860s to 1870s, Chinese officials upgraded an army navy, improved transportation and communication, broadened China's education system to include technical subjects in foreign lands. In 1890, Japan claimed part of the peninsula. Europeans joined together to force them out, but Europeans demanded Chinese territory for themselves. In 1899, the U.S. made the open door policy, which proposed open doors to China for merchants from all nations. All nations should have equal trading rights regardless of spheres of influence. After the Opium War with Britain, countries including France, Russia, Japan, Germany, and even the U.S. invaded China and established ideas of imperialism to modernize and industrialize China. Once almost all of China's national sovereignty was lost and foreign nations had forced over 1,000 unequal treaties on the country, China began to fight for liberation and independence. In 1921, China set up the Communist Party of China. This party led the way to Chinese people overthrowing the rule of imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism after years of struggle to do so. They then founded the People's Republic of China on October 1, 1949. This became China's Independence Day because, in the words of Mao Zedong, Chinese revolutionary and communist leader, this was an example of Chinese people standing up for themselves.
Chinese quest for independence wasn't so much of a quest, it was more like a fight for control of government, similar to a civil war between the nationalists and the communists. The Chinese War took place from 1946 to 1950. The Chinese Revolution came about in 1949, signaling the final stage of military conflict in civil war. Communist Party called this the War of Liberation. A war between the Chinese Nationalist Party and the Communist Party of China began with the breakdown of peace talks between the two forces. The Nationalists had advances over the Communists because the US supplied them with military equipment.
Nationalist government tried to gain support through internal reforms. This caused an increase in corruption in government and a lot of political and economic chaos. The Communist People's Liberation Army ended up dominating Nationalist Party. People's Liberation Army was victorious. In 1949, Mao Zedong created the People's Republic of China. The Nationalists retreated to Taiwan. All the new businesses and trading posts set up in China led China to be technologically advanced, becoming a major world player. China is a major lender to the US. China is the most populated country in the world. It is so overpopulated and overcrowded that each family was to bore only one child.
China is the third largest country in the world, and it consists of 1.3 million people. Its geographical, topological, and climatological contrast is so great that it is considered a continent rather than a country. China comprises of over 56 nationalities and 55 minority languages. It is now a multi-religious country, Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, Catholicism, and Protestantism being most popular. China is the world's largest labor force with over 800 million workers. A combination of efficient factories, cheap labor with poor working conditions, a massive international investment has enabled Chinese companies to become major producers of everything. China's trading methods involves importing cheap materials and transforming them into new products. Today, China's manufactured good counts for 94% of exports. China is the leader in manufacture of the world's retail goods.
谢谢。